I'm Arya Schwartz, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. This week, we are continuing our new series of episodes called Contenders. With our second episode of the mini-series, we're talking about the New York Liberty. Before we get into today's show, just a quick reminder, Winsidr is a fully independent WNBA news site, and everything we do is supported by listeners like you. If you enjoy what we're doing here, you can keep it going by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Winsidr. That's patreon.com/Winsidr with pricing levels for everyone. You're directly supporting the work we do, putting into coverage year round. We've also got a full team producing great written coverage over at winsidr.com and more content than ever across TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you're in the market for WNBA gear, check the affiliate links in the show notes and on winsidr.com. You get to rep the league, and Winsidr gets a little support along the way. Welcome back to the Winsidr Show. Excited to be back here with Madisyn Cunningham, my co-host this season. We've been teasing it. We're doing it. Just get used to it. Okay. Before we dive into the New York Liberty, I got to throw this out there. It feels kind of like your good luck charm, maybe. You're in Golden State. Golden State, top defense in the league, is looking really good. You move out to New York. New York goes on like an 8-game win streak. Yeah, they have a little bit of a skid there with those two losses. But what are you injecting into the teams that you're covering this season? No. How you doing? How's it being back in New York? Seeing this Liberty team, and I'm excited to chat with you.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Watching the Liberty is always fun, especially this year with Satu Sabali. Just seeing how she's been fitting in has been really cool. Yeah, I'm excited to be back. Love New York. It's been a great time in New York. So yeah.
All right, let's dive into this. Let's set the tone. They're sitting at 4th place with a record of 12-6. Now, people are going to get mad. I'm just basing it on when we're recording what the league standings say. I'm not getting into the tiebreakers and whatnot. I understand some teams have played more games. Like I think Minnesota has the same amount of losses, but one more win than number 2, and this and that and all that. Like it will all even itself out. It's okay. But as of right now, we're talking about a 12-6 team sitting in 4th place. A team that, yes, we are talking. We'll dive into it more at the end of the episode. We got to answer if this is an actual contender. We've already talked about this, but cool. Let's look at some team stats. 7th in points per game, 3rd in 3-point percentage behind Minnesota and Vegas. 3rd, they're tied with Vegas for rebounds in a game. Middle of the pack in free throws per game. 4th in assists per game. 5th most turnovers per game. That's concerning. 3rd best opponents points per game. 4 points behind Minnesota, who is in 2nd place and is like 0.2 or 0.02 away from whoever the 1st place is, Golden State. 3rd in differential. And the recent games, last night they beat Las Vegas pretty handedly, pretty convincingly. We can talk about that a little bit more. Handled every run that Vegas threw at them. But let's recap a little more. Before that, they lost to LA by 1 in that rematch of the opening 30th anniversary game. Ridiculous ending. Nneka Ogwumike hits the 3-pointer to win the game. Before that, they lose to DC by 3. Before that, they beat the Sky by 1. And that was the last of an 8-game win streak. But in those 8 games, who did they play? Connecticut, Toronto, DC, Atlanta, and Phoenix twice, and then Indiana. So not the hardest competition, but hey, you can only beat who you play. We can start in so many different places. I want to kind of start from the beginning. We did this with Minnesota when we did the Minnesota episode last week. Shout out to the Duke of Linkstown. And my question for you, for us to discuss right off the bat, is this team poised to be better than the New York Liberty of the past 2 seasons? Do they have the potential? Are they going to be? Is it just not there in the cards? While I spring that question on you, I'll give my kind of overglance view opinion, which is no, they are not. I'm going to be blunt. I might turn some head. I might upset some people. They have a worse coach this year. I don't need to go into crazy detail on that. They just have a less experienced coach who has won less games, who has not proven themselves as much. don't need that. That's just my opinion. This roster, in my opinion, has some similar issues to past years. And we'll dive into that more. I think roster makeup wise, potential, yes. What I've seen on the court has not given me any confidence to say that they will be better than the super team of the past 2 years. Keep in mind, 2 years ago, they win a championship. Last year, an early playoff exit. So you really got both spectrums. At least last year they made the playoffs. We're not talking about a team that went from the championship to the lottery. But so I pose this question to you: like, does this team have the opportunity, and do you see that realistically happening, being better than the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, potential wise, absolutely. I mean, you add Satu Sabali to a team that already has Sabrina Ionescu, Breanna Stewart, and then also you add Astia, you add all these pieces. Like, yes, like potential wise, of course they have the potential to be better because that's just what happens when you add one of the best players in the league to your team. But I agree that what we're seeing so far is definitely not reminiscent of the 2024 like champion New York Liberty team. Um yeah, I do think it a lot some of it does have to do with coaching and just lineups and chemistry. So like honestly, who knows? Because like I think I was gonna say last game was the first game that we really got Sabrina and Satu back, but that's not even true because Satu exited early with like a face injury. So I mean, maybe like once they're all back, maybe we're both wrong and they look way better than they did. But so far, I think it's just like yeah, there's just the meshing hasn't happened yet, which that's out of their control because you know they had some early injuries. But I just think like the way that the lineups are working and the way that their schemes are working don't look as polished as previous versions of the Liberty.
Yeah, honestly, like it, and I'll say this: like watching the Vegas game last night, like I think the Liberty's roster style is very much built to take on Vegas, built to counter what Vegas is able to do. You have so much length, you have so much size, so much speed. And if you get going from three, it's really like that was kind of how you beat Vegas, right? It's you need size and length because you're going up against Asia Wilson, who's amazing, and they're going to do a lot of switching. You're also going up against a Chelsea Gray who's going to be able to find passing lanes. What's a great way if you can't like an amazing way to stop a elite playmaker, an elite passer is to have active, long, stretchy arms. Because even if you're not in proper position, your arm being out there can provide some defense, can provide closing a window, making a window or a pass that much harder, even for a great like a Chelsea Gray. And then but also you talk about, you know, Jackie Young. We can't forget about the likes of Jackie Young, who is just physically so dominant of a player that you need that physicality and you need the depth because, you know, she's going to break a rib of a defender here and there because of how strong she is. And so I look at this roster, I'm like, this was designed. You have the length, you have the size, you have the 3-point shooting, you have the superstars. It seems like more this roster was built, and I've said this for the past 2-3 years. Like this roster has been built to compete, to beat Vegas. That's kind of what their mind is. But my concern is, okay, you know, we talk about this during the season at times with a team like a DC, where there's certain teams they match up really well against. I think DC matches up really well against Minnesota. I think New York matches up really well against New York. But you're not playing your whole season. Sorry, New York versus Vegas. You're not playing your whole season against that one team. So you need the ability to grow and kind of gel together and find ways to beat different teams. And honestly, both teams, it looked like both teams were uncomfortable last night. Now, I think Vegas was more uncomfortable because of what New York was able to do against Vegas versus New York being uncomfortable because of what Vegas was doing to them. New York, kind of like what you said, we have never seen them together. Saab's just coming back. You know, I'm blanking. I can't think of her name right now. There we go. Satu Sabali is in and out this season. There's been no consistency there. Injuries have been horrible for this Liberty team. It's a really rough start. And Breanna Stewart has continued to do Breanna Stewart things and leading this team. And there's a lot. I feel like I'm jiving into like all these other whatevers, all these other aspects of this topic that I could get into. But yeah, like if we're just starting off, like this team compared to the last ones, I just think they are not as good. They have the potential because I think roster wise, more talent. But as we saw in Vegas, when they had Liz Cambage, when we saw in Vegas when they had, you know, these superstars, it doesn't always work like that. You can have the most talented team. You need a team that works together in the best way. Shout out to Minnesota and Cheryl Reeve has been able to do. And I look at this roster, and it's almost getting to the point of Dallas where I start to go, okay, there's only one ball. There's only so many shots.
Mm-hmm.
Can, you know, Sabrina reduce her shots by 5? Can Stewie by 5? Can JJ by a couple to make room for Satu to flourish, to make room for Phoebich to have that impact, Gardner, Marine, whoever it is? Like, your superstars need to give up a little bit to pass up for a better shot so that that other teammate can make those shots. So that's all right. I'm kind of leading into all these other things. All right. The next question: the most underrated Liberty player this season. We kind of talked about this before a couple weeks back, my opinion, and I feel like I know who you're going to go with. I'm going to toss it to you. But who do you think's the most underrated Liberty player so far this season?
Yeah, I think I might have to go with Han Shu. I mean, she's been.
Twisty. I like it.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot. I think there's a lot of options. I think there's. I mean, obviously, with the injuries, a lot of people have had to step up in ways that they probably haven't had to before. Like MJ. Maybe that's who you thought I was going to say because I've talked about MJ a lot. But I think Han Shu is just. I mean, she's really great, and also I think um with a team that's so big, you often run into foul trouble. That's just kind of how, especially this season, with all the new freedom of movement things and whatever, however that's going. There's a lot of times when Stewie and JJ are off the floor or one of them is off the floor, and you still need that length, especially against the Vegas. And I think, of course, like with the way that the game has been going in the past few years, length that can also stretch the floor is also a positive. And I think Honshu has just put in a lot of good minutes, like just like off the bench. Doesn't need to be anything too flashy, but her three, I mean, she can shoot the three really well. She grabs rebounds when they're needed. Like last game, she kept them in it with those rebounds, in the face of potential Vegas runs. Um, yeah, I think she's just been great. I mean, she's been on the roster for a while now. And I literally remember like 2021 when the whole crowd would cheer whenever she would check in because it was so rare. And it's just been great to see her become a regular part of the rotation and affect winning in such a poignant way.
Oh, 100%. No, I'm with you. I think Han, in the sense of, for me at least, I wouldn't say most underrated, but probably most important besides the starters for this season moving forward. And I'll dive a
Mhm.
little bit more into it, but I'll just keep it simple of, I have concerns when it comes to JJ and her paint presence. She wants to play, you know, in the perimeter a lot more than I
Mhm.
would like her to for this team to have deep playoff success against a variety of teams. That's been a long-standing issue I've had with JJ, specifically on this team. And when you in so from my perspective, when you have that issue, like you were saying, adding in that size of Han, that 3-point, like, she has the ability to bang down low, but also hit a big shot from outside. But also, she knows what is needed for this team as a role player, effort points, rebounding, things like that. The player I thought you were going to go with Nasty Astier,
Oh,
like,
absolutely, yeah.
because what she has done this season: 10.7 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and basically a steal. Now, obviously, calming down a little bit with Sab coming back in. And look, just the depth of the guards and the wings on this roster, I think it can kind of be diluted. Where when we talk about this roster, yes, there's so much depth in the guard and the wing positions. My concerns are more in the front court. So I'm with you on that. I don't think that's a bad take at all. It's Sehan. For you, what do you think? And I'll go first on this one because anytime I do a negative thing, I like to go first, not make anybody be the mean person. What's the weakness of this team? For me, it's defense. Their defense isn't horrible. Like I was saying earlier, they're ranking pretty high in defensive statistics. In some ways, some are a little bit more concerning. The turnovers are concerning. But for me, the two things, the two like I don't know, keyword headlines is the paint and the defense. This team has been constructed with these issues in mind, and I don't think they've necessarily answered. Like going into this season, I think a question was that paint presence, and I feel like all I'm doing right now is more affirming your choice on Han is correct because I feel no, like I don't think that they didn't necessarily address the front court or the paint concerns in my mind during this offseason. And I think they kind of relied on the fact that Han, someone we've had around, and yes, we're adding Satu, who is the unicorn who can play down low, but it hasn't been there, whatever. So that's kind of where I am. Like I was saying before, JJ is not in a point in her career where what she wants to do is get a 20 rebound night with 5 blocks and just lock down the paint for the night. She wants to be more versatile. She said that for many, many years. So for me, it's kind of like, okay, for the past couple of years, we have forced Stewie to be much more of a paint presence than I would have liked this stage of her career. Defensively, she's amazing. But later in the season, if we're forcing her to bang down low for so long, it starts to build a toll on her the body. Long-winded way, the paint and the defense and the construction of this is not addressing those two things, I think, is what the problem is for me. What about for you?
No, I definitely agree, especially with like the paint presence. Like I see they're ranked 13th in offensive rebounding with with the team with JJ with Stewie is kind of unacceptable. And like you said, I think a lot of it has to do with just not wanting to play down low. Like especially last game, there were so many especially towards the beginning, they were shooting so many threes early in the shot clock, like without even trying to get down low. Which with that was when Satu was in the game. So with a team with Satu, with JJ, with Stewie on the floor, I mean, I don't know why the first instinct wouldn't be to drive first and then kick out, because they have their roster is built to drive and kick. Like you drive, you have Phoebus, you have MJ, you have Breanna on the outside. That's what you should be doing. Like I don't think JJ should be taking step back threes. She can make them, but that shouldn't be the default. So I guess it's just like settling for shots. Like I don't really know what it is, because I think like Assier does a great job of driving. Like when she came in the game, she immediately got like 3 tough layups on Asia Wilson, just by driving. So it shows that it works. So yeah, I think it's just about their paint presence and being more intentional with it. Like they're not bad at it by any means, but for who they have, it should be a lot better.
Yeah, I'm very much with you. And I think look, Stewie, how do I say it? The difference between Stewie and Asia we could do a whole episode in the difference between them. They're both amazingly successful, both amazing players, but the way Asia is able to kind of demand the ball and control the game and put a whole team on her back. I'm not saying Stewie doesn't have that ability, but Asia is much more of a vocal, I am going to lead you now player, where Stewie will take over a game and put a team on her back, but it's less of a get on my back now type thing. And at times, that's kind of been my concern with this Liberty team of who's going to be the dog? Who's going to be the one to kind of, give that oomph? And in the championship year, in my opinion, it was Kayla Thornton, and with a little bit of Benijah Laney Hamilton. And now we're talking about Benijah, first of all, Benijah's been injured and is trying to come back and hasn't been able to find a steady flow into that. So you don't have that injection of that dog, of that, someone needs to kind of control the reins. And throughout JJ's career, that's kind of also been a question. When she was in Connecticut, it was like, okay, is she going to be able to take over in this moment, even when it's your MVP season? Nope, you passed it off to AT. And it almost like JJ is an MVP player. JJ, there's a reason why this team is a super team. So I don't want anyone to take this out of context and clip me and be like, oh, well, no, like, but I think what ends, like, we've seen this enough where I trust JJ to make big, important plays. I want JJ to be a little bit more locked in on the boards and a little bit more in paint presence. Fine. But what I have seen is like this team doesn't necessarily have that it player to who's going to demand the ball and go to it, because Stewie, who can do that, is a little bit too passive in those moments. I mean, hey, it's a critique of Paige Beckers of being, not necessarily this season, but in general, being too pass first, score second. Similar issue, I think, with Stewie at times. And with JJ at times, I feel like sometimes misjudging the situation and thinking this is my moment to make this shot and to do this. And like you were saying, the step back three, that's not it. That's why you have these other, sharpshooters all around you. It's ridiculous. Have a little bit more confidence, have a little bit more faith. What do you think? This is an easy one. What do you think the biggest strength of this team is and why they are contenders?
Yeah, I guess just like versatility, like it's kind of the same point as the weakness. Like everyone can, not really, but everyone can do everything in a way that if one person is off, everyone else has the potential to be on and get that team across the finish line, right? Like if JJ is having a rough night, they can fall back on Stewie, on Phoebich, on Satu now, because during that 8 game win streak, Satu was, I thought she was playing very well. And she was able to find her way in the offense, making shots. I think now that Sabrina's back, that'll be even harder. But yeah, I think, like we said, it's just just their roster is just great. Like objectively, they have great players, and I do think that they are able to pick up, well, at times they are able to pick up the slack from the players who are off and still have a comprehensible offense. Like they do look lost and many times, but it's very rare that everyone on the floor looks like they don't know what they're doing, right? Like it's very likely that at least one or two of their roster looks like they came to play. And because those players are so good, they're still they're still able to stay in games for the most part, even if they're losing. So yeah, I think it's just like, I guess, like consistency, in the sense where their low is never that low because of how good their players are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I look at this team and I'm like, first of all, anytime someone's like, well, Saab's been out. Oh, well, Satu's been out. I'm like, sorry, this is rude. I don't care. That's why you're a super team. You still have 2 MVPs on your roster who have not been out, who are playing great. Like, and then we're looking around and it's like, oh, Minnesota is the top ranked team and they got no MVPs. They got Natasha Howard playing like an MVP. They got Courtney Williams. Like, to me, it's not about, oh, stop talking about what they don't have. This roster is so stacked, and that's what their strength is. They have Stewie, can put the team on their back. They have another MVP in a JJ. They have so much ability. Phoebich is just ridiculous. And like, there's so many players we haven't even talked about because of how deep this roster is. And that, to me, is what their strength. Yes, we got concerns. Maybe that they were built too much to just play the aces. What happens if you play somebody else? Are they willing to battle down in the paint to commit to create what they need to create to be champions? But this team is a contender. They're a super team that isn't just falling on their face like the Aces when they had Liz, or like LA when they had, who was on that roster? NECA, Kennedy, Liz. I mean, well, Liz just kind of that Grim Reaper meme. Shout out to Tina Charles also. Yeah, this Liberty team, they have all the tools we haven't seen yet, which is partially why I put so much blame on the coach. And and I'm very purposely not naming names, so I don't want to be clipped on this. No, but like when we talk about that, when you have so much talent, I think sometimes, and maybe this is a concern that should be evaluated more. We don't need to necessarily dive into this, but like when you have so much talent, I think it's easy to fall back on this idea of, oh, you know, it's okay if I'm not on, that other players got it. When in the same way that is a strength of theirs, I think it can also be a serious weakness of falling into that lull of, we have JJ, we have Stewie, we're going to be okay. When it's like, no, you're not going to be okay. You need to go into every game playing with that intensity and building up to the point where you are peaking in the playoffs, and not too early in the playoffs. Okay. Obviously, before we get into the MVP discussion, which needs to be talked about just a little bit, I'm curious for you in terms of this roster. Like, I know I just prefaced this with like, I don't care if players are injured, but like realistically, for this team to be its best team, you want Satu, you want Sab. For you, I guess, like, when you're watching this team as closely as you are and the season goes on, and it's kind of like, do you view it as this is the team without those two players, or this is the team missing one of them, or this is the team trying to get used to bringing them back, or like how, I guess, like, you can either view it as one team and they're easily able to flow back in, or, adding these two players in kind of starts to, have some tension, not necessarily like drama and the players aren't, but I just mean like success on the court wise.
Yeah. I don't know. I do think there have been some like growing pains with especially bringing Breanna back. Like, Astier's minutes have obviously taken a big cut, and she has been very big on for this team's success. And like, yeah, I forgot which game it was. The first Mystics game, the coach, like, he said that they're gonna try to play Breanna and Astier a lot together, which hasn't happened that much. We'll see if it does. I guess for me, I'm still seeing it as, I don't know. Like, I do think there has been a bit of a struggle in reintegrating just because they played so many games without those two players, but especially without Breanna at this point. I honestly think Satu did a good job of coming back in. I do think that was also when she was on the bench, right? So honestly, I do think there have been a bit of struggles. I think that Satu looked really good on the bench just because that was her best chance for her to score. But I don't think Satu came to be a bench player, right? Like that's not going to happen. She's not going to stay on the bench. I think she looked really good on the bench, but it's Satu Sabali. So I don't know. I do think it has been hard just because, like, obviously, yeah, Astier and MJ played so much, like, in that starting unit. They got used to each other. And I like right now they have it where MJ is starting at the 2, but I think the MJ and Breanna lineup has some issues of defense. So then it's like, yeah, it's just how do you balance it? So I'm not really sure how I view it. I do think they're still trying to figure it out. I think they will figure it out eventually, but I do think that has been a struggle. Yeah, I don't know if that really answered your question. But
No, I mean but that's basically where my mind is like, and that's the ongoing debate. There is no answer for it. It's finding that perfect balance, which there isn't a perfect balance. It's, oh, we put it's kind of like, it's a horrible example, but like when a boat is leaking and you like patch up one hole and then another hole happens, and it's like finding the patch that isn't just a temporary patch. We don't want a band-aid. We want a solution. We want physical therapy to make you better for moving forward. So that's kind of the question. That was like the weirdest metaphor, simile, whatever. All right, MVP discussion. MVP discussion. Now, obviously, we talked about this in the Lynx episode. We've talked about this before. A'ja Wilson, 25 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, 3.2 assists, one and a half steals, shooting 42% from the 3-point line, 51% from the field, 83% from the free throw line, averaging 2 blocks, just under, I'll just say 2.6 turnovers per game. and 32 minutes. Ridiculous. Obviously, A'ja Wilson, this is a top 2 team, top 3 team. She's doing ridiculous, amazing things, continues to. She is the front runner, the leader. But every year we get into this talk of who's in the discussion and who are the other players that are in it. Obviously, I'm just at the point I'm taking the leap. I'm saying Olivia Miles is in the MVP discussion. I'm sick of this shade, disrespect, offensiveness toward the guards of the WNBA. The guards deserve love too. I am now officially deciding, any 5-player MVP race needs to include a guard because there's guards playing good enough. The blocks, the rebounds should not outweigh the orchestration of an offense. A violinist is amazing, and she's gonna do a much better job of hitting the violin notes than the orchestrator, but the orchestrator still leads the orchestra. So, whatever. So Olivia Miles, 18.5, 4.9 rebounds, 5.6 assists, a steal and a half a game, 92% from the free throw line, 35% from the 3-point line, 53 from the field, which is ridiculous. Just under a block, 3.5 turnovers is bad, a steal and a half, ridiculous. Now let's talk about Breanna Stewart. Breanna Stewart, and I saw you tweeted something to this effect, every year puts up MVP numbers. It doesn't matter what year it is. It just matters who else is playing that season because A'ja Wilson's doing it also. Someone else is doing it also. And I don't have voter fatigue or anything like that, which I am hopefully blessed again this year to be a voter for yearly awards. Greatest honor ever. Breanna Stewart averaging 19.4 points per game, 8 and 8 rebounds, 8.8. 3 assists and a steal and a half, shooting 20% from the 3-point line. That has been a struggle. She, in the past few years, has just been dropping off. So there's no question about that. Honestly, it's at the point where you see, if you're a defender and you see Stewie marking up from 3, you're like, okay, not too bad. She's 34% on the career, but only 20 on the season. 85% from the free throw line, 45 from the field, just 2.3 turnovers, a block and a half, a steal and a half. Like I said, she's playing 32 minutes, 19 points, 8.8 rebounds. I mean, those are MVP numbers. And she's also doing it often, locking up the top defender or the top player on the opposing team in the paint. Yes, they switch him up with JJ a little bit. Yes, Han gives her a little bit of relief. But if I'm being honest, like, SDA has been great. Satu's had her moments. JJ's had some really big games. Stewie's the reason that this team is where we are. Like, we can talk about super team. We can talk, like, shout out to, in past, like last year, early in the season, I critiqued A'ja Wilson in the sense of the way that the other people on your team are playing. It kind of lessens your success. Stewie is kind of doing similar, but I'm almost more amazed by it in the sense of, like, with Vegas and A'ja, everybody around her was doing so amazing. And it was like, okay, you're with all these amazing players and doing so amazing. You're doing even amazing. That makes sense, right? Greatness creates greatness. With New York, it kind of feels like everybody else wasn't doing that amazing. And Stewie was like, let me show you how it's done and really carry this team, put them where they are. So, like, there's that argument of MVP. Is it who's putting most valuable to the team or just the best player on one of the top teams? And so I feel like Stewie's kind of checking both those boxes in a way. Give me your opinion on the Stewie MVP take.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she is the MVP this year. I mean, this so far, because, we have A'ja, we have, I'd say Olivia might be above her right now. I just think she needs to be in the conversation. Like, because she always finishes near the top in votes. I mean, the people whose voices matter or matter for who wins, they know that Stewie should be in that conversation. I just think it's so weird that, like, the media and fans so often, like, forget to mention her. And I think we just grown so, like, complacent with how great she is, that we just forget to mention her. And I was having this conversation the other day. I think because A'ja is so good, when you think of other MVP candidates, it's so hard to think of someone else in her position, right? Because it's always going to be like, well, yeah, this person is also playing really well, but there's Asia. Whereas with a guard, it's kind of easier to switch it up. It's like, Asia is a great big, but also we have these great guards. So I do think Stewie is in that conversation just because, like what you said, first of all, the Liberty are doing great. Well, they're doing generally great. And also she's a great defender. She is very often keeping this team in these places, which, yeah, like you said, is very impressive considering who she has around her, that she has still managed to separate herself as like the leader of the team. I think is very impressive. Um yeah, I mean, she's been an MVP caliber basically every year that she's been in the league. I think just with Asia Wilson's greatness, she's just like, people have dropped off from talking about Stewie or even mentioning her because it kind of feels like a lost cause. But I mean, she's definitely up there. And I think if she can continue with these numbers and um yeah, I think she'll definitely be in that conversation, especially if the Liberty end up in like that top 3 seed um by the end of the season.
And I would even say, like, throw it in there. Atlanta kind of has that issue of so many players playing so well and nobody necessarily leaping above. Angel Reese playing amazingly well. I was getting my all-star votes together and, like, I was shocked, really shocked and impressed to see the growth in her game. Honestly, arguably, you could make a most improved player conversation for Angel, and people will call me crazy about that. But like what I've seen her growth this season, just in the past couple of games of focusing, and yes, there's some foul trouble, but just the growth has been amazing. But then it's also Ryan Howard, it's also Alicia Gray, it's also Jordan Canada, who only has like 2 turnovers in the last like 4 games or something ridiculous like that.
Mhm.
So there's just like, because of that, normally, like you were saying, if you finish in the top 3, top 4, we start to look, okay, who could be on your team who's MVP candidate? And it's like Atlanta's kind of like removing themselves because everybody's playing so good. So then we're looking at, okay, Dallas, all right, we're talking Page, but who else? And then we're talking Minnesota and Vegas. And so it gets really, really fun. And yeah, like, side note, I probably brought this up last episode. Got so annoyed. I asked people on social media, like, what would it take for a guard to win MVP? And everyone was just like, in the W, historically, it doesn't happen. And everyone was just like, wait till Asia's gone. Wait till, and it's like, no, because before Asia Wilson, there was Sylvia Fowles. Before Sylvia Fowles, there was this player and Lauren Jackson and Stewie. And it's like, I'm talking about historically. Guards don't get it. What would it take for a guard? Imagine Asia Wilson retires tomorrow. That wouldn't change the question. So remove your head from the Las Vegas Aces ecosystem and go the WNBA ecosystem. Okay. I don't know why we're talking about Vegas so much. Last question for you. I don't even have an answer for it because I feel like I've just been so negative. What's your biggest concern heading into the second half of the season for them to win their second franchise championship?
Yeah. I think first of all, just health. I mean, yeah, like we said, they started the season with a bunch of injuries. Um and like Sabrina got her injury during the preseason. I mean, hopefully everyone will be back, but or not get re-injured, but I think they do have the tools to handle the second half of the season if someone goes down, but I think it would be nice if they didn't. Just so that like, which goes to my next point, which is just chemistry. I think they really just need to mesh and find everyone's place in their rotation, which also falls on the coach to figure out these lineups and figure out which lineups are most beneficial and which shouldn't be on the floor. And that'll become easier if they have all the players available to try out different combinations. Um, because yeah, like I mentioned earlier, like MJ and Sabrina, great lineup for shooting threes, but not really the best defensively. Um, Astier, great driver. Like I think we just need to figure out where the puzzle pieces fit. And I think once they do that, this team could take it to the next level or not. Because again, we don't know what it looks like when they have all the pieces going. So yeah, I guess for me, the biggest concern is just like injury slash longevity. Um and yeah, lineups. But also I think they need to figure out kind of their their identity and figure out like fix the paint problem like we talked about earlier. Figure out like who should be playing where and get them used to doing that. Like even if it's not fun, like just have to do it sometimes.
No, totally. I'm with you because my thing is like we can look at this negative or positive. I view it as like this team hasn't really gelled that well, and we're still talking about a top 5 team. This team hasn't really gelled well. We're not even halfway through the season, and we know the possibilities. So for me, it's like, yeah, that's my concern is that we just see this first quarter of the season repeat over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the voice in my head is like, this team is too talented to do that. Once they figure it out, they are going to be a mess. And the question that I have all early season for Minnesota is, have you played your best basketball yet? For Vegas, have you played your best basketball yet? For New York, have you played your best basketball yet? You can make an argument for yes for Minnesota. You can make an argument for yes for Vegas. I do not think you can make an argument for yes for New York. And that is the scary part. And that is why this contender is a contender. And this contender might make you cry when they beat your team in the playoffs. To close out this episode, I just want to say thank you for listening and supporting independent WNBA coverage. There's a lot of amazing independent WNBA news sites out there. Make sure to check them out. Ours, aka Winsidr, has been doing this for a long time and only works because of this community. So we are very, very grateful for you. Thanks for listening, and we'll peep you next week. Have a good one.